Yo, what's crack-a-lackin'? Casey James here, kicking it with you, and welcome to Casey's Corners. And you know how I do it. I give you the 411 and I keep it real. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Well, I'm here live at Buffalo Wild Wings, home of great food, great fun, great people, where they always have a gang of TVs going too, so you can watch all of your favorite sporting events like the NBA and NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and going on right now. Game one of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Golden Knights just scored a goal in the third period with about 3 minutes left. They lead 5-4. They came all the way back. They were down from the start. 25 seconds into the game, Elijah Ellers of Carolina scored. It was 2-1 as he had 2 goals in the first period. The Golden Knights come back to tie it up after the second period, tied at 3 apiece. It was tied in the third period at 4, and the Golden Knights just get the go-ahead goal. Of course, this is going to be a great Stanley Cup final. These two teams have been skating their ass off. The Carolina Hurricanes come in only losing 1 time in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the Golden Knights, who beat the Colorado Avalanche, only lost 4 times. So they have been playing their best hockey, and this is going to be a great Stanley Cup Finals. If this game one is any indication, we might even see overtime. Because it almost like every other hockey game is OT. But again, it's going to be a great series. Yeah, KC knows hockey. You feel me? Don't get it twisted. Also, a gang of baseball action going on. It's right now the Colorado Rockies leading the Angels 7-0. Atlanta, the best team in Major League Baseball, with the best record, tied up with Toronto 3-3. It's the Dodgers, the best team money can buy, 4-1 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona beat the Dodgers last night 4-1. It's Milwaukee leading the San Francisco Giants 4-0. The Kansas City Royals 3-1 over the Cincinnati Reds. The Houston Astros 3-2 over the Pittsburgh Pirates, the surprise team in the NL Central, and the Cleveland Indians beat the New York Yankees 5-4. The Indians, the best team in the AL Central, and the Yankees in second place in the AL East. So baseball was 60 games into the season, so baseball is in full swing, but we are a day away from the NBA Finals Game 1 between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs, and it is going to be on and popping because the NBA Finals are all that. We've been waiting for this, and now we got it. And we will talk about that series and do a deep dive into that. So we have to get into that Game 7 between the defending NBA champions, OKC Thunder, and San Antonio. The Spurs go in and knock the champions off, keep them at home. But now the Spurs will be playing for the NBA championship again against the Knicks. The first time these two teams have played since 1999. So we'll give you an historical perspective of that. But how about the most dominant player in the game? How about the player who makes his presence felt on both sides of the floor? How about the player who is an alien, who is a freak, who is a unicorn? And that's Victor Wembanyama. He leads the Spurs as they knock off the defending NBA champion. They beat OKC twice in OKC. They win Game 7, 111-103. Wemby made his presence felt, put his imprint on the game from the start, had 3 3-pointers in that first quarter, ended up with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, but it was the entire Spurs team as they were the better team, James Harden. I don't want to hear the better team didn't win. Losers say that, but the better team won in this 7-game series, and that better team was the San Antonio Spurs. They beat OKC 8 times out of 12 during the playoffs and regular season. They were a matchup nightmare because they have just as much talent, just as much depth, but then they have the alien, they have the freak, they have the unicorn, and there's no matchup for a 7'5" guy who can play every position on the floor, who can hit shots from half court, and who can dunk from the free throw line, and he can do everything in between. The guy who understands the game, who thinks the game, a guy who is a leader, a guy who is just absorbed in this whole NBA atmosphere. And by the way, he's only 22. I know Candace Parker and some other people said he's done his faster than everybody else his age. Well, you might want to steal your role on that and get back in your lane. Magic Johnson won a championship. He was 20. Tim Duncan won in his second year. Kareem won in his second year. Bill Russell won in his second year. A lot of players have won early in their careers. Remember, they went to college for 3 or 4 years and played varsity college basketball. Bill Russell was in the Olympics too. So they were older when they won, but they were still young in the game. But Victor Wembanyama is a problem. He's a older. He is unique. He is different because we have not seen him. Is he Will Chamberlain? No. Is he Kareem? No. Is he Akeem Olajuwon? No. He is the first Victor Wembanyama, though, and that's enough. And it is scary how good he is now and what he can do and this Spurs team can be. With that three-headed monster in the backcourt, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, and De'Aaron Fox. You add Dylan Harper, the rookie who just got off and was big time in this series. He had 18 points in the closeout game 7. Excuse me. You add Keldon Johnson, the sixth man of the year. Luke Cornett comes off the bench. They are deep, talented, well coached. Mitch Johnson has not gotten enough credit. He was my coach of the year. I know the Boston's coach won coach of the year, but I think Mitch Johnson definitely coached him up and should have been coach of the year. And that's for a whole nother show. And what a great job he done taking over for Greg Popovich. It was Joe Mazzulla. I sit here, I actually got a little brain lock right there. Joe Mazzulla of the Dolphins was coach of the year, and he called it a stupid award. Well, Mitch Johnson showed how much confidence he had in his team, how he coached them up, and how he turned them around. And Greg Popovich, again, is still around, made his presence and his voice heard after game 3 when the Spurs lost at home. He lit them up and gave them a tongue lashing. But they came out and won game 4. They go in game 6 and game 7. And there is not going to be a repeat champion in the NBA since 2017, 2018. So 8th consecutive year. And the champs get knocked out. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in his press conference called it a failure. So yeah, Jane, again, the opposite of James Harden. When you lose, I guess it is a failure because of your expectations. And now there's a new sheriff in town because these are not your father's Spurs. Nor are these your father's Knicks either. So we have both these two teams that have just done it in different ways. The Spurs beating the defending NBA champion. The Knicks rolling everybody on their way to getting to the finals. 11 consecutive wins, like 22 points or more. A dominance that we haven't seen in a team to win, to get to an NBA championship. The Knicks haven't won since 1973, so 53 years since they won, and now Jalen Brunson, the little big man, could run for governor of New York as long as he put his name on the ballot because he is beloved. He is the man in New York. Of course, they went crazy in New York. They partied like it was 1999. They turned New York City upside down. They climbed on the rooftop of Madison Square Garden, and the game was in Cleveland. Knicks fan was in Philly, and they took over the Philadelphia's arena, T-Mobility Arena, and they turned it into Madison Square Garden South. And they did the same thing in Rocket Mortgage Arena in Cleveland. It became MSG South. So Knicks fan is out of control and over the top. Can you imagine if they win this NBA championship? If they have a parade in New York, it will be Armageddon. It will be a Holocaust. It will be a cataclysmic event. It will be a tsunami. If Knicks fan gets to celebrate a championship, and they are just 4 games away, but they have a big, big hurdle. That hurdle with the San Antonio Spurs. The Knicks won the Emirates Cup. They beat the Spurs 2 games, 4 during the regular season, but now let's throw that out. How do you match up? You're going to have Karl Anthony Towns who start out maybe on Victor Wembanyama, but you can go with OG Anunoby. You can put Josh Hart because teams like OKC and other teams like to put a smaller guy on Wemby and try and really, really play him below the waist or below the ring and use quickness on it. They use a bigger guy like Isaiah Hartenstein did or like a Karl Anthony Towns to try and push him away. So they're going to mix up their coverages and how they guard Victor Wembanyama, but he always seems to figure it out. Where to get the ball, how to be effective. He can knock down threes. He can score into the basket. He can dunk literally once he gets in the paint. And of course, he can hit half-court shots too. So you can't stop him, but you have to control him and make him work. And that's what the Knicks are going to do. He also has to guard on the other end, stay out of foul trouble. He has to guard Karl Anthony Towns, who has been great at the high post. And the Knicks have figured out their offense and how to make all their players more effective. Mike Brown, give him all the credit in the world because they wanted to fire Mike Brown a couple of months ago. Now in May, they don't lose a game with Knicks. And they figured out how to max out this offense and how everybody can be effective. Of course, we know it goes through Jalen Brunson, but now the big cat having about 6 assists during the last couple of playoff series. OG Anunoby has got a chance to rest and that hamstring got healthy. Mikal Bridges, who forgot how to play against Atlanta, figured it out in these last 2 series and it's gone back to being Mikal Bridges again. An awful bench. Dudes like Deuce McBride playing well. Landry Shamet has become Steph Curry 2.0 as he was 12 for 14 from 3 in this series. And of course, it started with that incredible comeback in game 1, down 22 points in the Eastern Conference Final at home against the Cavaliers with under 8 minutes to go. And then Jalen Brunson went off. The wheels came off for the Cavaliers, and the Knicks come back. They go on a 44-11 run to win game 1. And it was good night, Irene, lights out. The Cavaliers was done. You could stick a fork in them like the steak I had that night because they were not going to come back from that. They were like a deer in the headlights for the Cavaliers after they lost game 1. I never like to say this about an athlete. I never like to say that an athlete choked, nor do I like to say a team quit, but the Cavs quit in that series. And the Knicks just rolled them and walked through them like they wasn't even there. It was like the Knicks were playing by themselves. It was practice, man. I'm talking about practice. Yeah, it was practice for the Knicks because the Cavaliers not only didn't show up in that series, they didn't even want to be there. That was pathetic. It was embarrassing. I'm surprised they bring back Kenny Atkinson. They also are talking about re-signing James Harden. What? You going to run this back, Cavaliers? Well, again, that's for a whole nother show. But the Knicks took their heart, took their manhood in game 1, rolled in the next 3 games, and now they were sitting back waiting for the winner of San Antonio and OKC, and the Spurs come out of that heavyweight fight. The winner, they put the knockout punch into the defending NBA champions, and it is on to the NBA Finals. I mean, it's going to be a great NBA Finals. 2 months ago, the Spurs would have been heavily favored. They're favored now, but not so much because the Knicks are on this historic run. And the matchup is a very favorable one for the Knicks. They may have an answer for Victor Wembanyama. He will have to make adjustments. But do they have an answer for Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, and also Dylan Harper and De'Aaron Fox and the rest of the Spurs? The Spurs are deep. Talent. We know they're well coached. They are ready, hungry. The moment wasn't too big for them. It is their time. They aren't too young. They are maybe a team of destiny, but so could be the Knicks of team of destiny. So whose destiny is going to happen now? Whose destiny is going to happen in these NBA playoffs? Well, it's going to come down to a number of factors. Number one, who plays the best defense? Who doesn't turn the ball over? Spurs have a tendency to do that, but De'Aaron Fox back as their lead point guard can help take the ball out of Stephon Castle's hand, who has had a turnover issue, no matter how great he's been offensively. Who rebounds the basketball? Which team goes out there and gets it? Defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds. Who scores in transition? Who makes shots in the fourth quarter? Who makes free throws? And again, who doesn't turn the ball over? That's a lot. But you've got to win those individual battles. You've got to win the game within the game to win a series like this against a team that is coming after you, a team that is hungry, a team that is ready. Both teams deserve to be there. Both teams can win this NBA championship. Just like game 7 going in, I said it was no favorite between the Spurs and the Thunder. The Spurs are favored in this series, but it really comes down to who plays the best. And I think that team that plays the best is the team that wears the black and the gray, and that's going to be the San Antonio Spurs. And I think the Spurs will be hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of this series, but it is going to be a war. It is going to be on and popping. I expect this to be a 7-game series, just like the series we had in the Western Conference between the Spurs and the Thunder. But at the end of it, I like the San Antonio Spurs to win their 6th NBA championship. And have that parade. Sorry, Knicks fan. I think you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to totally burn down New York City and take over the world. But I will be here to break it all down for you like I always do, because you know how I do it. I give you the 411 and I keep it real. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. I'll see you right here next time on KC's Corner.